Alright guys, what's going on? So, I thought that I would do this video. I was compelled to do this. You see my subscribers. You guys are the first people to get this video, so oh yeah, that's right. Real quick side note, since my subscribers are the first people who are probably going to get this video, I wanted to let you know that thanks to the help of a friend, I was able to repurchase 8 of the 15 walking sticks that I was forced to sell due to being falling on hard times. And I just want to let you guys know that I am proud to say these 8 sticks will be coming in on the 23rd, Friday. So just want to get that out of the way because, like I said, you guys are my subscribers. You're going to be the first ones to be notified I did this video. So obviously you know me as someone who who talks about walking sticks, weapons, security guard gear, and aspects of private security. But those who know me personally know that I am actually quite a movie buff, a cinema aficionado, if you will. And it recently came to my attention that for the first time ever, Warner Brothers has re-released, or I guess released, all 6 Middle-earth films. That is the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy, the prequels. Real nice set, but it's got quite a hefty price tag on it, and this price tag has actually caused a bit of a rift amongst the community of Middle-earth fans. Those who cannot afford it are not happy about it. Those who can afford it are, quite frankly, a little bit snooty and rude about it, and it really just upsets me because, full disclosure, I'm not a die-hard fan per se, but I do like these movies, and I do know that it's not cool. It's as someone who loves movies, it's not cool to see a fan base basically spout all kinds of nastiness at each other. So I'm making this video, even though this collection came out about 2 months ago. I'm making this video in hopes that it'll put things in perspective. Hopefully just ease some of the tension, ease some of the people who are upset due to the price. It's essentially a side-by-side comparison, an impartial one, in terms of the theatrical version edition of this set versus the extended edition limited run. So obviously, I have both versions. I have the 6-film, the Middle-earth 6-film collection in a keep case, and I have the extended editions of both these trilogies separately. I was able to get I guess the first of these that I ever owned were the Lord of the Rings extended versions. I think that there was a real quick run of the theatrical releases and an equally nice set, but it was discontinued pretty immediately, so this was my first purchase. I got to see Return of the King in theaters, but the first 2 movies I got to watch in their extended versions. So around the time that I decided to make the purchase, I think this had just been discontinued. I was able to get it for about $60. So something I did want to point out is one thing you want to look at is the theatrical versus extended releases and your preference. If you're barely getting into the series, I would recommend that you try the theatrical releases. Obviously, these are the movies that you first saw because they came out in theaters, so that was your first impression of these movies. I only got to see 3 of these movies in theaters, but the impressions were good enough to the point where I guess you could say I do actually prefer the theatrical versions as opposed to the extended. If you're a diehard fan, obviously you're going to want the extended because naturally you're going to want to see, just the the uncut and extended versions of all your favorite scenes. So excuse me, guys, it's late. That's something I do want to point out. And of course, if you're a diehard fan, you got the extended versions. Obviously, you're going to I would recommend the theatrical releases just as an appendix, if you will. So that's one thing you might want to think about. Because because everyone has different opinions on theatrical versus extended. Some movies, it really just depends on the movies. Um, there are some movies that I do prefer the extended versions of. I guess The Watchmen would be one example. Um, but there are some movies that I prefer the original version of. You know, uh, I guess Legend and The Warriors are the only movies I guess at the moment I can think of that come to mind. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit tired. Sorry about that. But I like both extended and theatrical versions equally. But if I were to do a marathon, I would do the theatrical release. The reason for that, and that the reason for that brings us to our next aspect, which is enjoyability. Obviously, the first time I got the extended editions, they were on DVD, and the movie is broken up into 2 discs. That means that when it's getting good, the scene will cut to a menu that'll essentially instruct you to switch discs. I gotta be honest with you, as someone who loves, you know, someone who's into, I guess, movie experience, into the movie experience itself, it takes away from the enjoyability. The theatrical versions, it's just one movie on one disc. You don't have to change them or anything like that. Like I said, if I were to do a marathon, I'd do um, the theatrical versions because I gotta be honest with you, I don't like changing them. I almost upgraded to Blu-ray, and it was really upsetting to find out that even on Blu-ray the movies are still on 2 discs, which is kind of weird. I have the Watchmen motion comic on DVD, and they were actually able to get all 12 chapters on one disc. I figured by that logic, if they got a 2 disc deal on one disc, then they should have been able to do that with these movies. Wasn't the case. So in terms of enjoyability, the theatrical cuts win that round. So that moves on to affordability. No brainer. Uh, the MSRP on this limited run is I think $800. Get it on Amazon for about $400 or $500. This I was able to get at Walmart for just $30. So obviously, for affordability, the theatrical cut takes that round. Um, Something I did want to let you guys know, those of you who, obviously, the majority of Middle Earth fans are working class, and they're kids who also might not have jobs uh, that might pay well enough for them to be able to afford this. So, um, you know, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, yes. Sorry about that. It is late, guys. Um, if you look back, this is nothing new. They're taking advantage of the fact that diehard fans have been waiting for a collection. A lot of cartoons that I loved as a kid, they did the same thing in terms of they sold special editions of the entire series, milked them for all that they were worth. But sooner or later, they will come out. They will redistribute the extended versions in a more conventional case at a more reasonable price. I just wanted to let you guys know that. So, yeah, I guess I just wanted to point that out because there was a young man whose video I saw that he was just really. I could tell that he was a diehard fan because he was just really, really upset at the price tag, and how it really was just a double dip for a sexier looking, setup, I guess. Um, but that setup is not without its flaws, which brings us to the next topic, which is practicality. So you look at the theatrical edition, slipcover, keep case that is designed to hold 6 discs. Nice and compact, simplified. I can put it with the rest of my movies, no problem. The limited run of these extended editions, not so much. Yeah, it's a nice wooden shelf, faux leather booklets that hold the discs. Comes with a nice little leather-bound pamphlet that has all kinds of illustrations of of uh, of movie characters, scenes, things like that. But it will not. You cannot shelve this edition on standard DVD and Blu-ray shelves. Um, you know, depending on your, it really just depends on your setup. I know that the setup that I have, I wouldn't be able to shelve that set with the rest of my movies. In fact, if anything, I would have no choice but to store it in a plastic storage bin that is next to my shelving, because A, it wouldn't be able to fit on any of my regular shelves, and B, I do have cats that like to knock things down and play with stuff, and it would pretty much be a waste of money because it looks so nice, yet in all likelihood, depending on your setup, you'll have to put it somewhere separate from the rest of your collection. If you have shelves that have enough depth, I guess, and enough room on top to have it, then go for it. If not, I would not recommend it. I mean, it really is a shame. I mean, I was so close to buying this until I I decided at the last minute. Well, I had already checked out how it looked, on YouTube, people's reviews of it, but I also checked out the dimensions, and yeah, it's not. I wouldn't have been able to shelve it anyways. That's when I realized, because I know myself. I would have bought it, I would have seen that I wouldn't be able to shelve it, and then I probably would have put it in a plastic storage bin, which would have been a shame because it really is a nice looking setup. Now, something I also wanted to discuss is movie storage. Once again, theatrical releases take that round. This is a standard keep case designed to hold six discs. A lot more practical. These discs are properly stored. They're gonna last a long time as long as you keep them in here. With the limited run, not so much so. If you take a look at these faux leather booklets that the movies come in, they use these semicircular pouches on what feels like cardboard, and essentially every time you remove and insert these movies from these pouches, you're going to scratch the disc. Um, I have had at least 3 different collections where that was the method of storage of storing the discs. Little pouches, little um, yeah, just these semicircular pouches, and over time they scratch the discs. So I gotta be honest with you, when I saw that was the method that was used to store the discs themselves, it really, it was pretty much, I would go as far as to say that was the deal breaker. I know that makes no sense. Those of us who want the collectible might want this item as a collectible might not care, but those of us who enjoy the movies and want to be able to take good care of them, this would be an issue with the limited run of the extended movies. So that's something you might want to think about. I mean, if you're going to spend $500 to $800 on the thing, then frankly, you should be able to store these movies in a manner which they'll last a while. With this, it's not going to happen. You keep on taking those discs in and out. You're going to ruin the disc. In which case, you just spent. I mean, it's for $500 to $800. I would expect a better method of storing these movies, and I'll leave it at that. So the next topic is your level of love for these films. There are some people that like the films. Uh, there are some people that love these films. There are some people who, are diehard fans. They speak Elvish. They wear the outfits. They do the live action role play, all that kind of stuff. Me personally, I would say that I love these films, but I'm not a diehard fan. I don't collect the books, the action figures, stuff like that. I just want the movies. So if you just want the movies, I would not recommend the edition limited run, but I would recommend the theatrical releases. I mean, like I said, I mean, for the price and everything else that I've mentioned, it's just not worth it. I mean, they're not. You're not going to be able to enjoy them because they're broken up on 2 discs. They're not affordable. You're not going to be able to properly store them, and the discs themselves are stored in a manner in which they will get ruined over time. So, collectible, great. If you just want the movies, don't bother. And last but not least, I want to address. I guess I want to, even though I already talked about it earlier, I just want to address some of you who are not happy about the price. Like I said, it's just a matter of being patient. This is nothing new. Um, this is usually what they do. They wait a long time, knowing that they that the fans are just waiting and waiting and waiting. They'll keep the fans waiting, and then they'll re-release, or excuse me, they'll release the collection that fans have been dying for in a real nice setup at a real ridiculous price. People will go crazy buying them, and because they're a limited run, then they'll start to be sold secondhand at ridiculous prices. But as soon as that dies out, it's like clockwork. They will redistribute the exact same collection in just a regular package at a more reasonable price. So it's just a matter of just being patient. So I guess that's all I really got to say about that. In summary, it really just depends on your personal preference. Die-hard fans, by all means. People who just want the movies, stick to the theatrical version. And I just want to give a shout out to, I believe his name is Parker Smickle. Watching his video on the matter compelled me to do this. So hopefully this puts things into perspective for him and for everyone else who is not exactly thrilled about the price tag. And that's all I got to say about that, fellas. Peace out.